Hello YouTube, my name is Yakario and welcome back to another video. I'm gonna be completely blunt, I'm mostly doing this just to kind of capitalize off of the current hype around the announcement earlier today, I think this morning for me at least, on the Switch 2. Um, I'm gonna be completely honest, the very first thing I will say is that I've been talking to a lot of my friends about plans for what the Switch 2 could be. I would argue since like last year. And honestly, at least from what we're seeing so far, just visually and aesthetically, the Switch 2 is exactly what I've wanted from like any form of like next gen Switch console. I personally love the idea of a hybrid console, a console that I can both play at home and bring with me for like long car rides or maybe like any type of long commutes. So I always wanted them to just keep the structure of the Switch and just make it better. And at least in my opinion, in terms of just design, it seems a lot better, right? The first thing, obviously, most people notice the screen, like the actual Switch console itself, is a lot bigger. Same with the controllers. The controllers seem like they're a lot more. They seem a lot less like finicky. They seem like they actually put a bit more love and care into these controllers. I think a lot of people, I think Joy-Cons were almost infamous for constantly having issues with drifting. There was constant issues with that. A lot of people, if you're anything like myself, I have basically been using like an OG Switch since like the Christmas of the year the Switch came out. So I've had my Switch now for, you know what? I'm actually going to Google it real quick. Yeah, 2017 is when the original Nintendo Switch released. And it's crazy for me to think that this is going to be the year that we get a sequel, right? 8 years later. And it's crazy for me to think about how the Nintendo Switch has basically existed. Well, it's still gonna exist, but I've had a Nintendo Switch for around a third of my life. Right? I'm 20, and I've had this thing since I think the Christmas after I turned 13. So like 2017 was when I was 13. And basically, the Nintendo Switch managed to carry me through the rest of middle school and all of high school, and basically, I would argue about 2.5 years of college. And basically, to know that the Switch carried me through all of my teen years and how much I've grown and how much I've changed just as a person, despite just, constantly going back home and playing on the same console pretty much every day, it's a little bit jarring to hear that I'm going to, for people like me, there's now a sequel, right? I feel like they definitely took their sweet time with this one and capitalized off of the original Switch as much as possible, which, let's be real, from a business standpoint, you can't really blame them. The Wii U was a terrible, like, the Wii U was terribly executed, so I feel like they are not taking any new risks with a whole new type of console. And I feel like, especially, at least in my opinion, the Switch is like a perfect structure. I would argue, and, I could be wrong. I don't know. I can't look into the future, but you could argue that I feel like they would not only make a Switch 2, but maybe even a Switch 3. Like, to me, again, that hybrid style of console is something that no other console, at least as far as I'm concerned, is doing right now. Right? So, to me, me personally, if I was in charge of Nintendo's design console team or whatever, I'm gonna be like, yo, the OG Switch made a lot of money, so just keep it up. And yeah, I look forward to playing on it. There's two things I'm going to talk about. The one more brief thing I want to talk about is like, I do appreciate that they do allow crossplay between what looks like OG Switch games and Switch 2 games, or at least OG Switch games can be played on the Switch 2. That I'm more than happy with, because the only thing I'm hoping is that for someone like me who has a lot of digital copies, I hope that I can just transfer them over to my second Switch, so I don't have to buy all of the games back. I don't really know how that's gonna work. I could have also just not paid attention to the trailer, and maybe they said we could do something like that, but I'm just hoping I don't have to like buy back a bunch of different games to put on my Switch 2 when I could just transfer whatever I have on my OG Switch digitally to the sequel through my Nintendo account or whatever. And then the next thing I wanted to talk about is the new Mario Kart that it looks like we're gonna get. I mean, we only got a bit of a snippet, and I'm gonna be honest, I can't really it's not like a perfect example of the new Switch's potential graphical prowess, you know, which I feel like they kind of did that on purpose just to kind of keep it a little more vague. So, at least to me, it looked pretty good, right? I know I heard a couple people talking about Donkey Kong's like new design, and I was like, for someone like me who was, for someone like me, a Kirby fan who saw how the recent what's it called, Return to Dreamland has changed how DDD looks. I mean, I think Donkey Kong looks fine. I never really, and I'm not gonna say I never liked Donkey Kong, but I never really was like a huge Donkey Kong like fan, right? I've always respected Donkey Kong as like a video game character, right? But yeah, the new design, he kind of looks, he looks almost like how he did in like those like older like commercials that they had with Donkey Kong, like in terms of like his face especially. It's like maybe that's what they were trying to go for. I have no idea, but I can respect it. But yeah, at least in my opinion, I just kind of think that in terms of the Switch 2, I'm basically just hoping that the only two things I'm hoping for, at least that they'll probably explain more in detail, they said in like April, is one, I hope that the Switch 2 has just far better graphics. Again, I've always said that realistically all Nintendo's been lacking, in my opinion, in terms of the Switch, is just graphical prowess and like consistent, you know, controller playability. Because I remember when me and almost all of my friends immediately had issues with our Joy-Cons, and we were just like, yo, this is tragic. That's why for people like me, my rule of thumb with Nintendo is always just like, or not with Nintendo, but with the Switch, has always just been, if you're someone who doesn't feel like they're going to be playing games that often, having Joy-Cons is fine. But if you play games very often, you might as well just get a Pro Controller and just have the Joy-Cons for like the games that exclusively need it, or for like the activities. So yeah, I mean, to me overall, I don't think the Switch is gonna be like, or Switch 2 is gonna be like the most insane innovation ever, but it's just, to me, it's a smart business decision. I'm personally looking forward to buying it. I know the console is gonna be a bit hefty price-wise. I've seen some leaks and rumors say it's probably gonna be around like 400 USD, which is surprisingly good for a console like that. I think the OG Switch was 300, if I'm not wrong. So a $100 upcharge 8 years later. 8 years? Yeah, 8 years later. I mean, I don't mind that personally. So, but yeah, the goal for me is basically to just save up and just get my own Switch. And yeah, but that's gonna do it for this video. So if y'all want to see more videos like this in the future that are a little less edited, I don't even think I'm gonna edit this one at all for the most part. So if y'all want to see more content from me on my channel, go watch my recent Brothership video, please. It low-key flopped, but I just wanted to talk about that game. I just really enjoyed it. Even if a lot of people don't want to watch it, that's fine. I just wanted to get my thoughts out there. So yeah, leave a like, subscribe if you're new, hit the notification bell as well, tell a friend, make sure to drink water, stay hydrated, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.